Welcome, everybody, to another brand new episode of Topic
Thunder.
Here from the Top 10 show. I am John Roca.
I am Matt Nost, and this is a little show that we do for our patrons. So if you are a patron over at patreon.com/the top 10 with the number 10, at the $5 tier and up, you can submit questions and we answer all your questions and we're good to go over there. It's whatever you guys want to talk about. Whatever you send to us is what we end up answering. So who starts?
I think I start this time around.
Okay.
I think. So we'll just go with that. Fuck it. All right. It comes in right. And if you want to go and be a part of it, of course, as Matt just said, you can be patreon.com/the top 10, the number 10 there. $5 and above get to send in a question or a topic. Henrik Winterland, he says, "Hey there, Matt and John. Hope both of you are doing well. My question for the two of you is, what are your all-time favorite sports comebacks? Being Swedish myself, my answer is the miracle in Berlin in 2012 when Sweden came back from 4-0 down to equalize against Germany in the 2014 World Cup qualifiers. Looking forward to hearing your answers. Best wishes from your favorite Swede, Henrik. P.S. I just thought I'd send the highlights from the game I mentioned. Apologies for it being in Swedish, but the energy is incredible." Okay. I do remember this moment, Matt, but go ahead. Yeah. What are your answers to this?
Of course I remember this moment. How dare you?
I apologize. Yeah, I apologize.
I do watch a decent amount of World Cups, but I don't know if I don't believe I know this one.
Okay.
I mean, I've got the clip going. So Germany scores first. I'm assuming they go up big and then obviously 4-0 and then Sweden comes back. As far as like huge comebacks, well, the Pats in the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, that's
Falcons.
Yeah. Atlanta had it. Mm-hmm. Just straight up had it and gave it up. The Rockets coming back on the Clippers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The Nuggets doing it a couple times over this past playoffs.
Yeah. Being down 3-1, right? Correct. Yeah.
And also in those games when they were down 3-1 to the Clippers, they were down by the highest margin was in the third quarter by like somewhere between 12 and 16.
Wow.
Yeah, they were down, but I want to say it was closer to 14 to 16. But like all-time comebacks, what do you got?
I think the two that are always I refer to in my mind are one that's a little bit further back in the 90s. I think it was when the Buffalo Bills came back on the Houston Oilers in the playoffs, right? There was, I think they were up 35-3 or 35-0 going into the halftime. The Bills, Jim Kelly got knocked out of the game or didn't start the game or something like that. And so they made the change to Frank Reich, who of course is the coach of the Indianapolis Colts right now. But if you go and watch that, and I remember I had seen Frank Reich do this at the University of Maryland against the University of Miami way back when. He had brought Maryland back from, I think, 31-0 down in the second half, and they upset the Miami Hurricanes. And this was back when Miami was Miami. University of Miami was Miami when they were actually good. And so for seeing him, he came in the second half as the quarterback, back up. No one knew what to expect. And he led them to a comeback, and they won in overtime with a field goal. And Warren Moon was the quarterback of the Houston Oilers. For whatever reason, they just couldn't get it going. And they became, when you're in that momentum thing, you're just kind of being run over, by what's happening. So pretty incredible stuff. And then the most recent one, as a Liverpool fan, having them come back down 4-0 at home against Barcelona. Barcelona won the first leg 4-0. So it was pretty much, if they just kind of just sat around for a 0-0 draw or only lost by 3 goals, they'd have been fine. But Liverpool without Salah, without, I think, Firmino, without Mane, like all their top strikers were gone because of injury or issues that were going on in training. And so they had to play essentially some of their B-level people, and they found a way to come back and tie it or win it 4-0 at home, or maybe they were down 3-0, I guess, coming out of the first leg, and they won 4-0 against Barcelona to go to the final. Then they won the title. They won the Champions League title. So that nobody expected them to do this against Messi and Suarez and all the great Barcelona players. And somehow the will of Anfield, the will of that stadium, willed that team to victory. So those are the two that when I think about comebacks, I think about those. But I mean, series-wise, I don't think anything tops LeBron carrying that Cleveland Cavaliers team over a 72 win team, 73 win team in the Warriors, like coming down back from 3-1. That was incredible to see it happening mentally.
Once Draymond dick punched LeBron, it was over. I knew it watching. I was like, in the final game, he showed up.
Yeah,
but the rest of the team didn't play as well. I mean, I think the more incredible was the year before. I thought LeBron should have won. Iggy won the MVP. Just like, LeBron should be the first one since Jerry West to win the MVP as a loser. He was the best player in this, fucking series.
Right.
All right, so I'm watching the clips, man. I don't know how Sweden came back. This is like demoralizing 4 goals. The third one was ridiculously good.
Yeah. But that's the way football is sometimes.
It's
crazy.
It is. I remember that, was it Brazil semifinal against Germany? Where they got crushed 7-0, or was that the final?
No, it was the semifinal when they beat 7. They beat them in Brazil. I think it was like 7-2 or 7-1. It was disgusting.
Crushed them.
Yeah.
Like the entire energy was sucked out of that stadium from 10 minutes on.
I mean, they showed Brazilians in the stands just weeping, sobbing as their team was getting. I mean, it was like watching somebody get beat up and you couldn't do anything about it that you really love or care about, or as a family member. And they were just weeping in the stands, watching Brazil get completely mollywopped. I mean,
their team is stacked.
Yeah.
Just straight stacked. You look at that, even as a casual fan, I look at that and I know a bunch of those names, which is saying something because that shit doesn't really pop up in my radar. I have to seek out, and I watch World Cup, but any leagues, I mean, I clearly don't watch, Premier or whatnot, except for all the Arsenal games. I never miss one.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, is there any other big comebacks we're missing? Any other ones?
There's got to be. There's got to be.
I'm sure.
Let's trying to think of any like huge.
Yeah. Hold on.
Because a lot of them you do like the Hail Mary at the end, but is that really a comeback? They didn't they didn't climb some huge mountain to get there, a la this, Sweden Germany game.
Sweden. Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know if that's
What are you looking up?
So yeah, some people are saying the women's team when they came back, I guess Liverpool again, right? Because Liverpool in the Champions League final against AC Milan in 2005. How could I forget the miracle in Istanbul? They came back from being down 3-0 at halftime, forced it to penalty kicks, and they won the Champions League in 2005 that way as well. They put the Donovan goal, but that was like, it was a 0-0 game, so you're not coming back from anything. What about Reggie? What about Reggie against the Knicks, man? Is that a comeback?
But the fact of the matter, yes. But is it like this where the odds were so ridiculously insurmountable, and the fact that they came back is, I can't imagine if I was a Sweden fan in the stands, how amazing. Because it went to 40 minutes that Germany is up. So for 40 minutes, you've been getting punched in the head.
Right.
Like a Mike Tyson uppercut after uppercut. And then to come back like that, that's huge. Reggie against the Knicks was, but I don't put it in the same ballpark as this. Do you?
Yeah, no, I don't. Because
the T-Mac at the end of the game, that to me is the more where I'm rifling threes from everywhere and wins the game for his team. That to me is more impressive.
I agree with you 1,000%.
But
yeah. Some people, I'm sure there are Red Sox fans that are yelling at us right now because they came back on the Yankees from 3-0 down. But I don't.
It requires me to care about baseball.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
So I just don't. That part of my brain ceases to exist.
I don't think it happened, to be honest with you. So I think it's fantasy. All right. What's our next question, man?
Well, thank you, Henrik or Heinrich.
Yes. Thank you, Heinrich.
This one is from Machine Gun Lemke. He says, "What up, guys? Hope everyone's doing well. This is less of a question, more of a topical musing. All right. Do you think movies are going to find a more difficult second life with everyone cutting the cord on cable? It's mentioned often on the show. Whenever this is on TV, I always have to stop and watch it. Now that people are gravitating away from that as a medium, almost all viewing is purposeful. Rewatchability is more strained because there's such a glut, and if something is in damn near a cultural milestone, superhero films, Disney, etc., then it gets lost and lost a little in the shuffle after its initial release. Do you feel we are losing something without the spontaneous rewatch?"
Wow. That's a fantastic question. One I have not even remotely considered, because I still have cable. So I still have the occasional non-purposeful watching, just flipping channels. But that's a great question, Lemke, because you're right. I mean, the whole point of the joy of stumbling upon a movie randomly while you're flipping channels, not knowing it was on, and then just like stopping and watching it, I guess that goes away when you don't have cable, because you have to make an effort to put that movie on and look for it on your either physical media or digital media, or you look for it on a streaming service. So yeah, that kind of experience, I guess, will disappear because you can't accidentally put something on that you don't intend to. That being said, though, navigating those within the streaming services, you can stumble upon a movie you didn't know was on the streaming service. So in that way, that could be non-purposeful. Even Netflix now has added a shuffle option, Matt, right?
Oh, have they? I purposefully watch. I cut the cord years ago.
Yeah.
You're smart man. You realize it was just like you have to seek out. So that's why sometimes people are like, "Oh, you haven't seen," like they get offended. Look, I have to remember to seek that out. Which is always not top of mind awareness. Don't you think, though, eventually, like say Disney Plus, which ABC is a part of Disney, eventually they get folded in as well, and they just have a regular slate of shows that they play during the day, and then you can tune in, you can binge any TV show or movie they have upcoming. But they have, in that way, my guess is they go right to the schedule they're already accustomed to, because they have program directors, and it's a proven model for them. And they just put ads in between like each show or something like that. It starts small, where they're getting a little extra ad revenue if you tune into, they give you the schedule. You can tune in just like you can, I'm sure, on your cable, scroll through the menu, see what's playing. Otherwise, here's everything that we have that you can just stream right now. Fuck it.
Yeah.
So I think that's inevitably coming. So that it could come full circle. Just we get that information in a different way.
Maybe. I mean, there are rumors today as we're recording this that broke this morning. There are rumors, not confirmed rumors, that Disney Plus is examining swallowing up Hulu and then just putting all their content on Disney Plus. So all of it would go on Disney Plus. Hulu would, in essence, kind of cease to exist as a streaming platform, and they would move everything over and put it on there, and you'd watch like Fox stuff that is R-rated on there. Like you'd have a lot of interesting choices, and more choices than you do now. So yeah, I think eventually, you'll essentially be a streaming channel, which is ABC, CBS, NBC, and then like exactly, and like what we have now with the Paramount Network, that'll be Paramount. And all the Paramount films, and with
Warner Brothers,
with the HBO Max announcement, or Warner Brothers announcement yesterday about HBO Max. I mean, that's certainly the next step. That's 17 movies they're dropping day and date, Matt. Is massive,
and they're saying they're going to go back to the old model, but
bullshit.
Once you open this up, it's like, man, movie theaters have to be shitting bricks right now.
Right. This ain't the fucking McRib where it's coming around once every few years. You make a big deal out of it. Once you open this Pandora's box, there's no fucking closing it. Once people can sit at home and watch first-run movies, and you give them a taste of being able to watch first-run movies at home, the last thing they'll want to do in the numbers that we saw before, is go, no, I'm not going to opt for the convenience of my couch my big TV, my sound bar, and instead I'm going to go to a communal experience with people who might be talking or playing on their phone or eating food at inappropriate times or making comments, or like you had, two old people narrating the movie to each other the whole time. People will choose to stay home. And there's no way you will satisfy that thirst and then take it away from them and expect not to have some kind of huge blowback on you. So
yeah,
this is the end of it's not the end of theaters, right? It's just the end of the way we used to go to movies. I think that's for sure.
Well, I mean, movies had already shifted to a subscription service anyway.
True.
The larger chains. So they're getting in on subscription just like everybody else is. Yeah, I wonder if they'll have more incentives, give you bigger discounts on, because their bread and butter is concessions.
Yeah.
It's the only thing they have to offer discounts on. But if they're discounting all of that, where the hell are they going to make their money?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because even now with AMC, I never buy a drink. Just I'm rarely do I need it. Otherwise, I just get a water. But you accrue points on the Stubbs pass, whatever in the world it's called. So you can get free water pretty much whenever you want to.
Yeah.
So it's like, you have my money, but you're not getting any extra, which is the point of the subscription service. So I'm one of the ones that right now is doing well on that system. But
yeah,
I think they draw back in, but it's going to be a hit for them. It's going to be huge.
Oh yeah, and this puts the other studios on notice as well. What is Disney going to do now? You know, they've been holding on to Black Widow for so long. It's like, well, are you dropping this thing now on streaming to compete with? Like, do we start having streaming wars, Matt? Where now it becomes which films are being dropped on a Friday? On which Friday are there people moving release dates because they don't want to drop on the same Friday on streaming? Like, it's kind of mind blowing that you've taken that out of the theaters now, and you might be transferring it onto streaming services depending on what apps are running these or screening these first run movies. We'll see.
How good is the A24 channel going to be in like 5 years?
That's a great point. Yeah, right.
Dude, their TV is good too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So it's just like, if you keep building on this in 5 years, you'll have a nice catalog of shit. I don't know what you have the rights to. I mean, it seems pretty filmmaker and creator friendly. So
yeah. And they'll be able to drop their stuff in theaters too, because like they're smaller, if there are smaller, more independent theaters that stick around because of support from the people who want to go to see them, the more exclusive the situation, I think people will be willing to pay. You know how we are. We're mentally like, if it's more expensive, it must be important or it must be good. A lot of people are conditioned that way from the marketing in our brains from birth. You know,
I had a friend that ran the comedy show, the Playboy comedy show at the Palms in Vegas. And the first year that they did it, tickets were like $35, something. Yeah. And he's like, sales were okay, for that first year. And then we decided to raise the price to like 70 to 120 or 150 or something. It sold out every night.
Yeah. See, it's that in you mentally. Yeah. You'd think it's going to be great.
When he said that to me, I was just looking at him. I was like, you kidding me? He's like, every show. And it was like, oh God, people are so fucking stupid. It's the exact same caliber of comedy. Now, eventually, I guess it's Vegas, though. You have the draw of that no matter what. But it's like, people are, you know,
people will pay.
It's a good business to get into, I guess, if you can.
Yeah, exactly.
A luxury good business.
All right. Let's see. All right. Let's go. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate the question. Let's move on to Francisco Ramirez. I think we have time for one more. Yeah, definitely. Francisco Ramirez says, hey, guys, been a while since I've been a Patreon. Had to stop for some time because student loans are a pain in the ass. I hear you. Never stopped listening to the show, though, and happy to contribute to my favorite movie podcast. My question for you guys is, what is a moment in sports that you weren't alive for that you would like to be able to go back in time and witness in person? Mine would be Jesse Owens dominating the 1936 Olympics and seeing Hitler pissing himself. Although as a Puerto Rican, I don't believe my presence would be well received by Nazi Germany at the time. Francisco. Good question. Interesting choice. But all right.
Okay, so it's what? It's got to be before you were alive?
Yeah.
Let's see, maybe Ali taking out Sonny Liston. where you get the iconic he's standing over him type of thing, but that's where he takes the championship.
Yeah.
I'd like to see Wilt's 100.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, Wilt's 100 would be interesting.
Yeah, to see, how many people were actually there, because, the joke is, it's an auditorium or stadium, whatever, that held 7,000. But by, later years, 40, 50, 100,000 people saw that game. Because, I was there over the years. I'm like, oh, okay, this place just got bigger and bigger and bigger.
I was totally there.
Yeah, totally. Nah, my dad, my uncle, they went. They told me about it. Did they? All right.
They loved it. They said Wilt was bigger in person than you could imagine.
Yeah. Exactly. For the 100th, he dunked it, and then confetti, just miraculously, they were saving it for another celebration, shot out everywhere right at that time. Malfunction. Before I was born.
I mean, for me, I'd like to see a World Cup final with Pele for Brazil, just to be able to be in the stands and watch his magic in his prime, or as a young player. He was like, what, 18 or 16 when he won the World Cup the first time? Like, it would be incredible to watch what he could do at that age with the ball. Maybe, I don't know, maybe Mickey Mantle and those, like the Joe DiMaggio, maybe for the Yankees, maybe being there when they won a World Series.
Although,
that'd be cool.
If you're going that far back, wouldn't you just go back for Babe Ruth?
No, fuck that clown, man. I don't like Babe Ruth.
Really? You wouldn't want to see the called shot?
Now, if that actually happened, yes.
Exactly. Go back. Here's the purported date that it happened on.
Yeah,
that's okay. Fair. I want to see this shit, because that is the coolest.
Right.
It's the, you were the first to do this. Now the people call their shot and they feel like they're just, stepping on your turf.
Yeah.
Which is pretty sweet. I know you kind of have to think almost on some level, Olympics, World Cup, international experiences.
Yeah. Well, maybe being in the stands when the Jets beat the Colts, when no one thought that was possible, right? Broadway Joe coming in there doing what they did to the Baltimore Colts. That would have been fun to see. That's one of the greatest upsets ever, because Joe called it, before like the whole hype and everything like that. It'd be cool to see something like that.
I know, that's the thing. I'm trying to think of like 60s, 70s football, basketball games that I want to go to, and they're all like, yeah, I would go. Sure. I like that one.
Right.
But I can't think of anything. I know I'm obviously forgetting something, but
yeah. I mean, hockey was big in the 50s, but I wouldn't have gone back to see, any of the people there.
I don't have any connection to any of those people because I only kind of passively follow the sport.
Yeah.
But the miracle was when we were alive.
Right. Miracle on Ice. Yeah, man. Yeah. That would have been great to be in the stadium.
That would have been, but it kind of, if it's before you're born, it's like, there's a bunch of those from the early 80s. Like, I wasn't young, and I was too young to understand. And that, because then I knew the players. So I had a sense of like what the rivalries meant and all that jazz.
Right. Maybe fuck it, go all the way back to like Jack Johnson. Can you go to, what was it, 70 rounds or something like that? Being in the, what do you do for 70 rounds, for God's sakes? You're there. That's a 3-hour fight, man.
Or Joe Louis on his barnstorming tour through Europe, or was just kicking a dude's ass every like 2 to 4 weeks.
Yeah, the Brown Bomber. Yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
Boxing seems to be the one from that time.
I know, because you can go back and like, that one. Maybe any of like the Leonard Haglers.
Oh, I was alive for those. So those, but I watched those. My dad was fucking a huge fan of Roberto Duran.
Sure.
And so we watched all those.
No mas, man. No mas.
Yeah, dude. He was crazy. So mad that day. He was because as a Latino watching a Latino quit. Oh, he just drove him.
Well, it's just Sugar Ray's just rabbit punching him.
Yeah,
the whole night, and just dancing around. And it's it's death by 1,000 stings.
It is. And eventually he's just like, fuck this.
Yeah, exactly. It almost seemed like Duran was like, I can't, he's so fat. I'm just getting peppered in the face.
Yeah.
For 10 rounds or whatever it was. Yeah. A bunch of those from that era. There's a lot of good boxing that you could go back for.
I mean, the Hagler Leonard, just to see those 2 or 3 rounds.
Rumble in the Jungle.
Oh, there it is. The Ali one. Oh, shit. To be in Zaire, even though I'd probably be sick from the water or whatever down there at the time. Like, just to be there in the stands watching Ali, even be close to the ring to watch Ali pull off the miracle over Foreman. Whew, that would be incredible. Absolutely. Yeah. Good God.
Yeah, I was alive for all the Tyson stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I can't go back for that.
Yeah. Maybe Ali Frazier. I think Ali Frazier's before you were around.
Yeah, Ali Frazier's before I was around.
Those. Yeah.
Or it's right on the cusp, but I think it's before I was around.
Okay.
I'm trying to think like huge pivotal Olympic moments. What am I forgetting?
I mean, the Jesse Owens one is there.
Yeah.
When they did the Black Power salute, that's an interesting moment to have been in the stands for, the reaction.
Sure. Because like a lot of it I don't care. Mark Spitz, I don't really care about.
Yeah.
But I can understand because we've had a couple different versions of that since.
Yeah.
It almost seems kind of ridiculous that one swimmer can rack up like 15 golds in one Olympics. Like, maybe we need to change. Because he's an all-time gold member winner. It's like, wow, he's in the one sport where if you're head and shoulders above everybody, you can just sweep a bunch of this shit.
Yeah.
Which is still impressive. I'm not taking it away, but it almost seems like swimmers should be their own category.
Right. What about Seabiscuit? Like being there for the race against War Admiral? No, not you think?
I don't really care. Do you?
Okay. No, I mean, I don't know. From the movie would be fun, but yeah, I don't run to it.
Yeah, but
really my head.
That's a cultural moment where you kind of had to live with this horse for a while. It's in the middle of the Great Depression. Everybody doesn't. I mean, if you thought our pandemic was bad, you know what I mean?
Right. What about Jackie Robinson? His first game as a Dodger or winning a series with the Dodgers?
Sure.
That'd be fun. Yeah.
Baseball's tougher for me.
Oh, that's true. Fair point. Yeah, Olympic moments. Not a lot of them spring to mind necessarily.
Not from that era. Maybe it was just the lack of television, and television really helps capture all the various moments.
What about tennis? Like, were you around for Jimmy Connors and McEnroe?
Tail end of, yeah.
Okay.
Jimmy Connors was like the head of state when I was starting to watch.
Right.
You still had McEnroe, but it was the shift into Stefan Edberg, Boris Becker, Ivan Lendl. I watched a lot of tennis back in the day.
Right. It was on all the time. It was on all the time. You could watch it.
My family would turn on every major and it'd just be on in the, over the course of the weekend.
Yeah, it's like NBC owned the Australian Open and the French Open in Wimbledon, and CBS always owned the U.S. Open. That was always you'd get up in the morning and watch that on the East Coast, and it was a blast to watch it early, right over breakfast, pancakes and tennis, man. It was the best. It was glory days, man. There were so many great players. I mean, obviously they're very talented players now, but they were all great players, it's not. And they had a kind of, I don't know, they had characters, man. It's always characters that sell. It's not just talent. It's always characters,
True. I know it's crazy now looking back how much of a hold tennis had on all of us.
Yeah.
I mean, they made the cover of SI consistently, and you're going up against the major sports here in the U.S. That actually meant something at that time.
Yeah.
If you had the cover, I still remember a bunch of different, and then even guys that had short runs like Chang after he won the U.S. Open.
Right, Michael Chang. Yeah.
But it was the only major I think he ever won, or maybe he won another one later on, but I'm pretty sure. But I remember seeing him on the cover more than once.
Right. Or Jim Courier.
Sure.
Right.
Jim Courier had a slight run. Pete Sampras dominated, so did Agassi.
Yeah.
Sampras was, the tail end of when I basically watched.
Yeah. Boris Becker.
Tennis.
Becker had Wimbledon on lockdown.
Yeah, fizzled out. Then the female side, your Monica Selis's.
Yeah. Steffi
Graf. Yeah. Chris Everett was kind of like Jimmy Connors.
Right. She was on the tail end there. Martina.
Navratilova was.
Right.
She looked like a machine.
Yeah. She was so dominant.
Yeah. Well, and singles and doubles. Just like, dude, she was made for tennis.
Then, there was the occasional ones that would shock people, like Arantxa Sanchez Vicario. It was great when she came in and won.
Capriati.
Yeah, Jennifer Capriati. Yeah, exactly. Those were like ones that rolled out and you just shocked you, and it was great to watch them. There were so many great personalities, man. It was the time to watch for sure.
And she got into drugs.
That's right.
Partying it up.
That's right.
Which
she did her thing.
I'm surprised. Well, it does happen, but I mean, they've lived such a very specific life where it's all been regimented. Yeah. And now they call the shots. It's, you would assume that more people would flame out like that.
Yeah. True. All right. Well, we're at the 30-minute mark. It's a good time to wrap up here, Matt. Thanks so much for that question there, Francisco. Always great to hear from you. Great to hear from Chris Lemke and Henrik Winterland. Thank you so much. And for those of you who are listening to us or watching us now, keep sending in. If you're a $5 and above patron, keep sending in your topics and questions and what have you. Want to keep a constant rotation of those going as we go along.
Damn straight. And you can do that over at patreon.com/the top 10 with the number 10. You can follow me anywhere at Matt Knows to see everything that I'm doing. And that is it for me this week.
Ooh, you can follow me at The Roca Says on Twitter and on Instagram. And don't forget our YouTube page, the Top 10 YouTube page. If you're not watching us, you're just listening to us, go over to our YouTube page, subscribe there, hit the bell so you know when we're dropping new videos in case you want to watch our pretty faces on camera, talking, answering your questions, or talking about a top 10. Do all of that there, or a golden ticket, which has been kicking off like crazy, man. It's been so much fun doing those shows as well. And if you want to become a Patreon, is there the address right above my head there, or if you're listening to us, www.patreon.com/the top 10, the number 10 there. Go and be part of all of that. All right, that's it from us. We'll talk to you next time on another episode of Topic
Thunder.